on a second. Hold on a second. David.
Okay, it already went live. Okay. Dorota, we are live and recording.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome to this open meeting of the Ad Hoc Committee on Nominations for National Science Board Elections 2026. My name is Dorota Greiner-Brzezinska, an ad hoc chair for this ad hoc committee, and I want to extend my gratitude to my colleagues Julia, Ryan, and Beverly for volunteering to be a part of the ad hoc committee on nominations for NSB election 2026 and for agreeing to meet today on this Friday afternoon. On Monday, you all received an email which included an agenda for today's meeting and 2026 election fact sheet and also NSB member contact list. And I'm assuming everyone had a chance to take a look at it. The goal for today is really to discuss the process on how we build a slate of nominees for NSB chair and vice chair positions for the 2024-2026 term. And once we go through the process, clarify any next steps, we also have a little bit of an assignment for every one of us to take home. So the purpose of our committee is to canvass the board and build a slate of candidates to serve in the roles of chair and vice chair from May 26 to May 2028. To comply with the Sunshine Act during our meeting today, I'd ask that we avoid discussing specific board members. Discussions and questions should be about matters and procedures, including the general issue of the eligibility of members to run for the NSB office and next steps to build a slate of candidates. I'll walk through a few of the highlights and then we can open for discussion and questions. Now, before jumping into process highlights, I want to call your attention to a point in the election fact sheets. So the committee's role is to build a slate and not to down select candidates. We need to remember that. As such, ad hoc elections committee members are not prohibited from running for election. So we are not prohibited from running for election. Now, having said that, the optics of one of us running could raise some questions. So before we get started, I'd like to give anyone in this group who is certain at this time that they wish to run for either chair or vice chair the opportunity to reconsider serving on this committee. Is anyone considering running either by self-nomination or would take a nomination if someone else would nominate you?
No, thank you.
All right.
Here to serve, Dorota, to make sure this committee works
Thank
well.
you.
Yeah, I'm not interested in running.
All right, so neither am I. So I think we do still have a committee of 4 and we can go forward with looking into the highlights of the process. So let's start with the election and nomination process. All members of the board can vote at the May NSB meeting to fill the positions of chair and vice chair of the National Science Board. The current NSB chair, or should the NSB chair present for re-election, the vice chair, or if needed, the next most senior non-ex officio member of the board's executive committee who is not standing for election will run the election. So if we have current chair and a vice chair standing for election, there would be one of the executive committee members, which is Julia or I, would be essentially presiding over the election. National Science Board office staff will launch the votes using the Zoom polling features or paper ballots as requested and needed. Voting proceeds in rounds until the candidate receives a majority of votes. The same candidate can run for chair and vice chair. Even if it's not elected chair, then the person can actually put their name on the ballot for vice chair. All members who will remain on the board after May 10, 2026 are eligible for election as chair or vice chair. And you have seen the list of eligible members on page 2 of the fact sheets. Everything is provided there. Now, at the bottom of the list, there are 5 NSB members whose terms end on May 10, 2026, who may be reappointed. We don't know yet. They are presently eligible and can be nominated for either position. However, and this is key, if they are not reappointed in a timely way, past practice of the board has been not to include them on the slate. Specifically, we have required a public announcement of the White House's intent to reappoint, to include them on the slate. This is a matter of NSB norms and practices, so we can discuss this if the committee wants to. Any comments or question about this policy? Well, not policy, this is the matter of our practice. All right, seeing none, we can continue to the next step in the process. So, to ensure that all members get a chance to provide input to developing the slates for chair and vice chair, we need to engage all members, including those who will be rotating off the board. So here is the approach that I suggest for us to follow. We arrange phone calls with all members eligible to run. So those are the members of the classes, NSB classes of 2028 and 2030, and verify with them if they are interested or wish to nominate someone else. We also consider whether we want to phone or email the members pursuing reappointment to the board to ascertain their interest in running should their reappointments come through in time, and to also ask if there is anyone that they would like to nominate. And then item number 3 on my list, email the members who are ineligible to run to see if there is anyone they would like to nominate. They still can nominate. They cannot be nominated or run for the position. Any thoughts, any comments? Does it make sense?
I think it all sounds good.
Okay. So let's move on.
Julia,
I just have a quick question, which is for the ones who are not eligible for reappointment or for one reason or another. You said the general practice is to email them, not to have a phone conversation. Is that correct?
This is what I have is our practice, but it can be a phone call. It depends really how. So in the end of this meeting, I have a list of like assigned names for all 4 of us who we want to communicate with, and you can choose if you want to make a phone call or an email.
Okay. I think I recall what we did, because I used email to set up the phone calls. And some people responded to me via email saying, I'm not interested. So I didn't have a phone call with them. So I don't think it really matters.
And then, Dorota, a question in looking at the pieces. How long? So because we've had a few the chair shifts because of Daria's departure. How long is the term for the chair and vice chair in this election?
2 years.
2 years, great.
2 years,
okay.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Okay, now let's summarize to what we should expect if the person who you are communicating with expresses an interest in running. So please make sure that those persons, they make sure that you know that those persons are running for specific position, right? If it's a chair, a vice chair, or both, remember they can run for both. Encourage them to also read the election fact sheet, especially page 2, attachment 2, on pages 5 and 6. This should be something I think people who are running should read. The most important thing is to convey the time commitment, right? The demands of the position, and it's described in this document. That's why we encourage people to take a look to understand what the position entails. And also, please mention that both Vic and Aaron are willing to speak to candidates who want to learn more about the time commitment and what the position really entails. Now, also, please do request that they submit a written candidacy statement. It's about 4 sentences, and we want this statement to be submitted to Elise by 20th of April. Now, next item, let them know, please, that they should be prepared to speak at the May meeting very briefly about their priorities if elected, about roughly 2 minutes. So briefing at the May meeting should they get elected. If they are one of the 5 members whose term will expire on May 10, 2026, let them know they can be a nominee, but the White House will need to have issued the public intent to reappoint by the 27th of April to be included on the slate and in the board book. Okay? If the public intent to reappoint occurs between the 28th of April and the May 5th, the morning of our meeting, when the election will be held, they will be added to the slate. So if they have an intention, you need to know that there is an intention. We are waiting for the 27th of April to see if there is an intent issued by the White House. If not, we take them off the ballot, but they can be put back on the ballot in the morning of May 5th, should the information be issued by the White House. Lastly, if the person expresses no interest in running or is ineligible to run, like those who are rotating off NSB, for example, give them an opportunity to nominate another member. They still can actually nominate. Now, a little bit more of other circumstances. So if the person you are communicating with nominates someone else, this is what needs to happen. So the first portion was you talk to the person who is self-nominating. Right now, what if the person nominates another person? If the NSB member you are speaking with nominates someone other than him or herself, please do the following. Write to the election committee member assigned to the member whose name has been offered, stating that a peer has nominated member X for chair or vice chair. So shoot them an email. The elections committee member who is assigned to member X, and we will talk about this in the end of the meeting. We all have some names assigned to us. So the election committee member who is assigned to member X should then reach out to that individual letting him know or her know of the nomination. This will avoid a situation in which members are being contacted by more than one election committee member. So that simplifies the process. This may mean that you will have more than one call or exchange with the member on your list during the process of building the slate. To be clear, no one will appear on the slate who has not consented to be on it. So it's important to make sure that whoever is nominated is informed and also says, yes, I do want to be on the ballot. And I'd like to pause right here. I've gone through those 2 different scenarios and see if you have any questions or comments. All clear?
All clear.
All right. Awesome.
Wait.
All right, Beverly, yeah.
Me. Okay, so logistically, I recall we had a common spreadsheet where we actually entered the information. Are you going to talk about that?
I'm gonna talk about the names that we have allocated, and those names are organized in the spreadsheet which was sent to us last Monday.
So
and we can decide that we can put, you want to put this on like Google Doc and check it
so
off?
what we could do is literally enter into the spreadsheet what they want to run for, if they want to run for anything or if they don't want to run for anything. And we could actually enter their statements. If they emailed us the sentences, we could enter the statements into the spreadsheet as well. So
Sure.
again, it's available to everyone.
So who was the keeper of this last year, if it existed?
I don't know.
I'm happy to assist with
Perfect.
setting
Okay.
up the spreadsheet.
Thank you, Elise.
All right, makes sense. Ryan, Julia, any comments, suggestions? All right, so let's move on. And the next step is really now to get to the point how we divide the list of members among the four of us for communication.
Is Julia trying to talk and we can't hear her?
Oh, I was muted, but
Oh.
the big thing was when Bev was talking, I was a little confused as to whether that spreadsheet is available only to us or is it available to to the entire board. It seems like things like the candidate statement, things like that ought to be pretty close hold, and so shouldn't go on a spreadsheet that is shared broadly even among the committee until it's I mean beyond the committee even until it's completely set and goes into the board book.
Agree. But this would be actually probably a very handy way for us to enter information in one place, so there is no duplication.
For just us, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, for just us. All right, so back to divvying up the work. So we have currently 22 members on the board. So subtract out the four of us, we have 18 people to reach to. So we have 6 members of the class 2030 and 5 members of the class of 2028. And then we will have 7 members of the class 2026 to reach, through a mix of calls and emails. Again, I guess the mode of communication is really purely up to each one of you. I think what Bev said, email first and then have a phone call as needed, is probably the simplest way to go. So here is what I'm suggesting in terms of the division of labor. So I could take Vic, Joan, and Yolanda. Julia, if I can ask you to talk to Kevin, Wanda, and Jeff. Ryan, Willie, Sarah, and Merlin. Beverly, Marvy, and Juan. So now for those up for reappointment, we could, again, divide up either calls or emails, same approach. So I'll take Aaron. Julia, if you can talk to Matt, please. Ryan, please talk to Scott. And Beverly, you get 2 names this time, Suresh and Mel. And we also need a volunteer from among of us to actually email those who are not eligible. We have 2 members. If you recall in the spreadsheet, in the documents you received on Monday, 2 people are not eligible. And if you can just communicate them to Rand to inquire if they would like to nominate anyone, because the names I gave you now or divvied up among us, those names do not include 2 members who are coming off the board. So if they have a volunteer to email the 2 people. Okay, Bev.
Well, I'm happy to do either or both. Okay.
Beverly, are you volunteer or are you trying to say something?
No, I'm volunteering, but Julia and I can split them. Give one to me, one to her.
1 each.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we are all set now.
I'll do Roger, Bev.
Got it. I will do Heather.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right, so we are almost done. So just right after this meeting, Elise will send a message to all members on our behalf, letting them know that we'll be reaching out to them, so people will be prepared and they will be ready to answer the calls or emails, and of course have some time to think about it, what they would like to do. So please complete your outreach if possible by the 10th of April, 2 weeks from today. This would give us enough time to follow up and generally assess progress towards building the slate for both positions well in advance of our upcoming board book material deadline, which is April 20th. So by April 20th, we want to have a book in place. So as soon as a member has confirmed his or her willingness to stand for office, please alert Elise to the name of the member and the position of interest so she can keep track of it. Either Elise or I will check in with each of you kind of midway during the process. In the interim, please reach out to either Elise or me anytime if you have any questions. So we have another meeting scheduled for 16th of April at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If before that we determine we are on track and there are no questions or issues, we can cancel the meeting or handle questions by email. Let's just decide as it gets closer to 16th of April. So those are the next steps and couple of deadlines. Any questions or comments about the next steps?
I'm good.
Feels clear.
All right. Well, then, thank you so much, everyone. This concludes our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorota.
Thanks,
Thank
Dorota.
you. Have a good weekend,
Bye all.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
You
weekend,
too.
everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.